This episode was brought to you by Manscaped.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the 2020 Moisties. Today we're taking a look at the worst games released this year. This is the only council of reviewers that you can trust to give you scientifically accurate data. So the 5 games you see here are objectively, without argument, the worst games that have come out this year. We're not blowing smoke up your ass. We're not pulling a rabbit out of your dick. We're giving you the actual facts. We're bilingual, and the only 2 languages we're fluent in are English and Gamer. So hopping right in at number 5, we have, no surprise, Madden 21. If you're still buying sports video games and expecting innovation, you're a fucking idiot. These games are not changing. They clearly don't need to. They're still breaking sales records every year. But even knowing all that, Madden 21 exceeds what I thought was possible when it comes to blatantly insulting the consumer. This is the company just spitting in the mouth of anyone that buys Madden. Madden 21 is not only the same game for the last 9 years, but it's the same game with more broken things in it. The game has so many fucking bugs. I've only played this game for a handful of hours, and I regretted every hour of it and still desperately tried to get a refund. It is no fun. It's extraordinarily boring. I hadn't played a Madden game since Madden 2012, and I felt like I was just playing Madden 2012 again when I picked this one up. It's terrible. It's so bad that even some of the hardcore brainwashed Madden enthusiasts that defend these games tooth and nail on Twitter as if their fucking lives depended on it spoke up and said that this one is excessively terrible. They've done a lot of bad things with Madden, and 21, I think, is the example of all the worst things they've done all put together. As it has been for the last 10 years, it is just another money-hungry play from a soulless corporation exploiting sports fans, and for some reason, a lot of the sports gamers will get on their hands and knees and beg for more abuse. I guess they have a humiliation fetish. They're just getting absolutely insulted with these Madden titles, and again, 21 is definitely the worst one I've seen so far. Moving on, we have another game we didn't actually moist meter this year, but kept a close eye on and even experienced firsthand. We have Warcraft 3 Reforged. There is so much to hate about this that I really can't even put it all in the moisties this year, or else the whole video would just be shitting on this game. But if I was to break it down simply, this game is Blizzard's way of taking Warcraft 3 and its fans and sticking their face in Blizzard's dirty asshole. Everything you could imagine being wrong with the remaster is here, including misleading the fans. They were talking about, revamping the cutscenes and this crazy CGI. And then when the game actually came out, that wasn't the case. They didn't have that, at least not to the extent they claimed. They said they wanted to maintain the integrity and the spirit of the original game. Even though they had never publicly stated that, they still had fans believing they were going to get this game where they had crazy new cutscenes and everything coming in, which wasn't the case. Even on the official Warcraft 3 Reforged website, they were advertising it with a trailer that had these cutscenes in it that didn't exist in the game anymore. So Blizzard doing what it does best and just lying to the fans, among a lot of other problems with the game fundamentally, with bugs and a lot of design choices that make no sense. For example, if you make a custom game in Warcraft 3 Reforged, Blizzard immediately owns your property just right off the bat, and it's because they missed out on owning Dota, which started out as a mod for their game, so I guess they're still just very upset about that all these years later. There's just a ton of things to hate about this, but the one that really rubs me the wrong way and gives me some chafing on my nutsack is the fact that if you do get Warcraft 3 Reforged, you basically cannot play the original 2002 game. Having Warcraft 3 Reforged anywhere near that overwrites that game, gets rid of all your shit, and you just auto-upgrade to this game. It makes no sense. It basically just deletes 2002's version and forces you on this far less good version. Yes, it is free to go from Classic to Reforged, but you know what else is free? Getting slapped in the face, and it hurts about as much as going from 2002's Classic to this fucking Reforged abomination. So easily deserving of the number 4 slot here, and again, there's plenty of better explanations for everything wrong with Reforged, so I recommend checking those out if you're curious as to why it is so bad. Now moving on to number 3, we have Marvel's Avengers. This game is so boring and so forgettable, I didn't remember this even came out this year. I had to think really hard for this list because actually most of the games that came out this year were super good. It was actually tough to find the best 5 because there were so many to choose from. When it came to the worst games, I really had to sit there and think with a few fingers in my asshole and really try and remember what came out this year, and then, eureka, I remembered. that shitty Avengers game. Now, keep in mind, like I said in the Moist Meter, the game isn't like fundamentally broken. It plays exactly like you would expect a 2009 game to play. It all works, but it is so tedious, boring, underwhelming, uninspired, passionless, soulless, dickless. It's terrible. Terrible again because it's so boring. There is no elements of this game that makes you want to go back and play it. There's nothing in the game that makes you excited to be playing it. There's like items you can pick up that don't even change the appearance of your character. Like you'll pick up some like crazy legendary loot or some shit and you just still look like the same Hulk. But now thanks to your new item, you get a +5 damage when you throw a right hook. So, yippee, yeehaw. It's just not good. It really isn't. And I actually really regret the score I gave this. It should have been far lower. I was beyond bored playing this game, and I believe most people were too, because I think currently it only has like 800 active players, if that, on its best possible day. Like if you get this game for Christmas, you're better off just using it as like some kind of doormat, because you're going to get more enjoyment out of just stepping on it than actually playing it. Now, speaking of excessively boring games, we move on to the number 2 spot, Watch Dogs Legion. I think the biggest surprise for all of you listening right now is that this is number 2 and not number 1. I have shit on this game quite a bit, and for good reason. I don't think the game is worth a buy under any circumstance unless you're trying to use this game as a way of giving your children coal in their Christmas stocking but don't feel like buying coal and want to get like a cheaper piece of shit. I guess you would use this for punishment. It's just terrible. It's more boring than Avengers by a wide margin. The voice acting is some of the worst I've ever heard. It's like if Tommy Wiseau was trying to do other accents and falling asleep while recording his lines. There's no emotion behind it. The writing's bad. The story's bad. The gameplay is some of the worst I've seen from a AAA title. Yes, it does work most of the time, but it doesn't mean it's good gameplay. Just because the game doesn't crash every time you shoot a bullet doesn't mean that it's good or functionally sound. It's still really boring. Unity tech demos on itch.io have more features than this game does for its gameplay. The world is completely dead. It feels like you're exploring the radioactive wasteland of Chernobyl. It's a barren wasteland of shit to do in the actual open world, and driving through it is mind-numbing and frustrating. It's like you're trying to control a car using an iPad. Tying your shoes is a more fun adventure than the entirety of playing Watch Dogs Legion. If you got an ice cream cone and threw it on the ground, the journey of the ice cream cone to the ground is more thrilling than the entire journey of playing this game's main missions. It's just fucking horrible. I only have one positive memory associated with this game, and it's the time that someone sent me an email claiming that I'm the reason this franchise is dead and will no longer get any more games of the Watch Dogs universe because I told everyone how horrible it was in my Moist Meter, and that still puts a smile on my face, but that's really the only good thing I can say about this game. And now you're probably asking yourself, what could possibly be worse than Watch Dogs Legion? I thought for sure this was going to be number 1 on the Moisties this year. But you would be wrong, my friend, because you clearly have forgotten the worst game of this year, and simultaneously the best worst game of this year. Number 1, Fast and Furious Crossroads, baby. I'm talking about family. Fast and Furious is the first family game, the first family strand game. It is so fucking incredibly bad in every possible department that I can't even find enough words to describe it. It's quite possibly the most embarrassing game that has come out in the last few years, and it is so unaware of how truly awful it is that it elevates it to like the Room status of video games. It's like a Neil Breen directed video game. Like, I don't even know if you can even call it a video game anymore. It's more just like a virtual family simulator at this point. Everything that could go wrong with a game has gone wrong in this game, but I stand beside my initial statement that this game is so bad that it's good. It is so incredibly bad that it crosses that event horizon of dog shit and becomes like enjoyable shit. It is baffling that this game ever got published or even started development in the first place. I don't know why. The question that I have to ask is, why did this even exist at any point in time? I really can't wrap my head around who played this when going through Q&A testing, if such a thing even existed at this headquarters, and said, yeah, we can probably ship this. You couldn't give this game away for free. If somebody gave you this game, you should take it as a personal attack on your honor. If your mom and dad went through your computer and found thousands upon thousands of hentai photographs and video and furry porn all over the place, but then also saw Fast and Furious Crossroad in your Steam library, that would be the most embarrassing thing they found. They would be more disappointed and ashamed of you for owning this game than all of the other shit in there. The game is just that bad. But again, can it even really be called a game? It's more like a virtual family experience. So for that, I think it's probably one of the best family type games I've ever played. And that's really going to conclude the Moisties for the 2020 video game season. These were the 5 worst games to come out this year. And yeah, that's about it. This holiday season, why not stock the stuffings with something that your man's really gonna want? I'm talking about Manscaped products. I've talked about Manscaped numerous times. When it comes to male grooming, there is no equal. Manscaped is the ultimate Excalibur when it comes to trimming your balls, thanks to the Lawnmower 3.0, which has skin-safe technology, so you're never at risk at hurting yourself when grooming down there in a very sensitive, dangerous area. There's also things such as the Crop Preserver, which is basically just ball deodorant, so that way it doesn't smell terrible, it's not stinky. And there's also ball toning spray and just pretty much everything you could possibly need to amp up your male grooming game. So if you're interested in trying Manscaped products, go to manscaped.com/moist for 20% off. That's manscaped.com/moist for 20% off and free shipping. That's it. See ya.